Welcome back. And now for what is trending in true crime. The ex-girlfriend of actor Jonathan Majors says that it felt like she got hit by a bus the day after he allegedly attacked her. Now, that's what Grace Jabbari told a Manhattan jury on Thursday in the actor's assault trial. She spent hours on the witness stand giving very emotional testimony about an incident that happened, as she said, in the backseat of a car back in March. Now, prosecutors say that Majors hit Jabbari on the side of her head, fractured her finger, and tossed her, quote, like a football after she saw another woman had texted him. But the defense says that Jabbari was the real aggressor in this case. In court on Thursday, Majors' attorneys played video of her hanging out at a nightclub after the fight. They also played body camera footage from the next day of Jabbari telling police that she couldn't remember how she got injured. If convicted, Majors faces up to a year in jail. But here's the question. Who do you believe, him or her? They're both pointing the finger at each other and both saying that they're the real victim here. Let's bring in our power panel now. With me, law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter, the director of prosecution projects at Florida International University, and former homicide prosecutor Melba Pearson, and litigation, celebrity entertainment, and sports media lawyer Seth Berensweig. Thank you all for being on the program today. Okay, Sonny Slaughter, my friend, will you do me a favor and start the discussion off? Who do you believe?
Good morning, Julie. Glad to see you back. So I'm going to believe the evidence and what the evidence says based on that particular incident and what happened that night. What did the driver of the Uber or vehicle that they were in, what did he see? What did he notice? What did he hear? What did others see or hear? What is their relationship been like? So I want to stick to the facts and evidence on this one because both of them are pointing to the finger at one another. They may have had a long history of domestic violence, and she could have recanted because that is often what domestic violence victims do. So I'm going to stick to the evidence.
Appreciate it, Sonny. That is smart. Melba Pearson, let me go to you next, please. Really tapping into your experience as a homicide prosecutor. We know that these prosecutors believe her. They wouldn't have brought these charges forward. They would have withdrawn them. So they're seeing something here that aligns with her story, and they believe they've got the case to prove against Jonathan Majors. Tell me about that process, if you would, please, Melba. What it's like when you have to vet your alleged victim. You know, police bring the case to you, and you've got to take a look and see if you agree with the police assessment, and it may not always be right. I'm sure you've withdrawn many cases throughout your career, and that's what justice sometimes is, a withdrawal. Talk to me, Melba. Take us behind the scenes, please.
Absolutely, Julie. Good morning. So ironically, I do have a background as a domestic violence prosecutor as well. So this type of case is very near and dear to my heart. So my approach is always trust but verify, right? So the victim comes in and says, this is what happened. I'm going to at least believe them on surface value that, okay, you're not coming in and lying, but I'm going to verify every single aspect of your story. I'm going to look at the evidence. I'm going to look at any surveillance footage that may be available. I'm going to look at any past interactions between the victim and the defendant. Were there prior calls for assistance where the police had to respond to their home or someplace where they were before? Are there relatives or family members or friends who can attest that there's been prior domestic violence between the two of them? And is what she's saying make sense in the light of the evidence? If she's saying that he attacked her in a certain way in the vehicle, well, if the vehicle is too small, then clearly it couldn't have happened the way that she said. So you have to very carefully interrogate all of the evidence to make sure that you're not filing charges erroneously and then ending up in a miscarriage of justice. However, I will say that a lot of her testimony that we've heard so far does have hallmarks of classic domestic violence manipulation, where threats of suicide, you know, trying to keep her away from her her friends, telling her she can't go out, et cetera, et cetera. So there are definitely some elements there of concern, but the defense does have some solid points too. So we'll just have to see how this plays out.
Melba, thank you for all the work you've done in the DV prevention movement. We'll have you back on the show to talk about just that. My friend Sunny knows we love to talk about that on this show. It's important. It's a topic that is hard to breach, that's for sure, and it affects everybody. Very, very common. Seth Berensweig, what a pleasure it is to have you on the show. I want to ask you something that really goes to your expertise. You know, when you represent celebrities and you have a story that's swirling in the news cycle, and there are other concerns beyond the trial, you know, the optics, communications, what's being said in interviews, if any are being done. Would you kind of talk to me about the other concerns for someone like Jonathan Majors, who's someone in the public eye? He's got a lot to lose here. Tell me what you would be concerned about if you're representing him on a case like this, please, Seth.
Sure. So all the descriptions that I would add to that would not detract from the point that this domestic abuse case, as alleged, is a quite serious case. There are 7 counts that have been asserted, so I certainly wouldn't do anything that would decrease the seriousness of the allegations in this case. That having been said, when a celebrity faces these kinds of cases, it has a lot of implications. Of course, their liberty can be taken, and that is first and foremost really something that would have a dramatic impact on their life. But it also is something that can really drive a sledgehammer into their livelihood. There are conduct and ethics clauses in contracts with studios that provide that there are grounds for termination, or if there are allegations where someone is alleged to have acted in a very improper manner. There are a lot of instances in the celebrity world where people have lost lucrative contracts because of these kinds of allegations, and this is a very serious case. The thing that is curious about this case, and of course it happens in all these criminal cases, is that there's really evidence on both sides, and I think that the defense has a variety of points to note, including the fact that she was dancing that night, and there's a video that doesn't seem to be consistent with the underlying allegations.
Seth, appreciate it. We'll leave this case there for now because we have another big one we want to talk about. This one is trending in true crime as well. We got to talk about Diddy. Sean Diddy Combs is pushing back after a woman has claimed that he gang raped her 20 years ago. According to the woman's lawsuit, it happened in his recording studio when she was just 17 years old. The Jane Doe says that she decided to come forward after reading the lawsuit from Diddy's ex-girlfriend, R&B singer Cassie. Now, Cassie filed that suit last month, claiming that she was raped and beaten over the span of a decade. Diddy settled that suit the very next day. 2 other women have also come forward with allegations against him. The hip-hop mogul says that none of these claims are true and that people are looking for a quick payday. So here's our question this morning. Are more settlements in Diddy's future? Let's bring back in our power panel. Seth, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go in reverse order here. So doing civil work, settlements are something that are done day in and day out. We know Diddy paid out quickly in that first case. We don't know what he paid. It's all under an NDA, but I would imagine it's substantial. Talk to me here. Would that be the best way for him to proceed here?
Well, it could be. In a case like this, one of the things that's very difficult, and this is a civil case brought by the complainant, which happened allegedly about 20 years ago. When these cases come up, of course, it's difficult. It's an uphill battle for the complainant to try to demonstrate putting those pieces and tying them together. However, in this case, we have photographs of her sitting in Sean Combs' lap in the studio where these things allegedly occurred. That was a characteristic of the Cassie Ventura case, which was settled about 24 hours after that case was filed. The reason why these cases are flooding into New York because there are special statutes that give a 1-year look back for cases that otherwise are time barred. So in this case, there are some very serious allegations. There's photographs of her in the studio. There's going to be pressure. He's come out and he's very strongly denied it.
Right, he sure has. And we were talking about this yesterday on the show with the context of you wonder if she's gone to police for the reasons you just mentioned, Seth, that there could be a possible prosecution here. You wonder what came first, you know, the civil lawsuit or a complaint to police? If the police complaint was filed at all, we really don't know. Police are being tight-lipped here. TMZ has done some reporting saying there might be an investigation going on into Diddy. Let's talk about that. Melba Pearson, so as somebody who served as a prosecutor for a long time, I'm sure you've had famous celebrities you've had to prosecute, and one thing is for sure, celebrities aren't always who we believe them to be. You know, I mean, my gosh, I mean, I think the greatest example, you know, of our lifetimes is Bill Cosby. I remember sitting through his first trial, you know, watching The Cosby Show as a kid, and, you know, what a lovable dad. And then when I heard that evidence, I mean, I was literally sick to my stomach. It was nauseating hearing the testimony in that courtroom. It made you want to cry. Melba, talk to me here. When you got a celebrity and you're in a prosecutor's office, what are some of the concerns that you have?
Well, some of the concerns you have are some of the same as you would have in any case, right? Making sure that you have the correct evidence, making sure that you have all of your witnesses in order. But you also have to think about witness intimidation, because if you have a situation where you have someone with a lot of means, money can suddenly show up and then witnesses will quietly disappear. So you have to consider that. And then also the media pressure in terms of this is a case that's going to be covered from gavel to gavel that ratchets it up the pressure on you. So you also have to make sure not only to be prepared, but to be like 200% prepared, because of the fact that that glare of the spotlight is going to be on you the entire time.
Exactly, Melba. I remember when I was a young prosecutor and, you know, had some of those cases come in, and, you know, my mentors in the office would say, you know, you never want to treat anybody any more harshly or any less harshly because they're a celebrity. They get treated this exact same way as any other defendant in that position on those facts. I'm being told we have to leave it there for now because we've got Tracy Farrader set to appear in court in minutes, and Melba and Sonny are going to come along with me. We have to say goodbye, and thank you to Seth Behrensweig for joining us on the program. Hope to see you soon, Seth. Here's what we've got coming up next, my friends.
She will be transported, though, from Miami to Tallahassee. That's really between the sheriffs. It's an administrative issue. Because of safety concerns, we don't tell even the prisoner or anyone else when we're transporting prisoners.
Donna Adelson moved from Miami to Tallahassee, and now she's claiming cruel and inhumane treatment from the jail staff. And Tracy Farrader set to appear in court in minutes, where she's asking the judge to declare her indigent. We're bringing you every moment here live.